Good morning, everybody. I've heard some questions about the sword that everyone has seen in my introduction videos and a couple other ones. Well, maybe not a couple other ones. This one's when it comes to my public appearances and shit like that. This one's pretty obscure. Um, this is a very very old sword. Let me go ahead and bring the camera in on this. This weapon is a flea market sword, if you couldn't already tell. But one of my biggest hobbies, one of my favorite hobbies, just growing up and even today, is to go and get a cheap little sword. Let me go ahead and throw the scabbard off of that. And restore it. There's still a little WD-40 on this from sharpening it earlier. But I like to keep WD-40 on the blade because this is, cheap steel. And it makes the sword ride out a lot easier on the draw. As you can tell, it's been through a lot. Let me get in closer here. It doesn't look the best because I've ran it through wheel grinders, stones, all sorts of things. I have actually changed the shape of this weapon from what it used to be. It used to be all angular up here and all nasty looking. But anyway, for a cheap little sword and a light little thing, and let me go ahead and swing this from my perspective. I don't know if you heard that or not, but this sword screams through the wind. Now, let me bring your attention to this little bevel here, if you can see that. I'm going to go ahead and try and frame that up. It's in the center. Got a grind mark all the way through there. Now, this little bevel, I really like. I like the idea of having it, because, as you can see, I haven't sharpened it at all. I tried to once, but I figured against it after I was like, you can see where I screwed up. But I like that because if I just, from regular old technique, you flip the wrist around and just clack, have a neat little non-lethal yet very, very, very point-putting weapon. Or at least a very, very point-putting attack. Just clack. But let's go on a little bit. Now, the handle, this is all one piece. There is no Mikugi, there is no Suba, there's nothing. This is all one piece. And the grip, right here, is nothing but a couple of wooden shims, some cord, and some orange baling twine off of a bale of hay. It's really, really, form-fitting, because I've got it to where I can really get my hand around it up here for extra control, or there's a lot more cord and stuff back here so that I can really get the power in the swing. And it's a really quick little weapon. You guys have seen it. I love it. Alright, now let's move on to the scabbard here. And, let's go ahead and bring attention to this. That's absolute crap. I'm pretty sure that's just, something somebody, etched into the paint to sell the sword. I mean, I only bought it for $15. It's not a big deal. I've wanted to grind it out for some time, but I'm afraid of messing it up any further than I already have. Now, this right here is something I'm actually kind of proud of. This is the very first scabbard off of the very first sword I ever owned. And as you can see, it's very, very beat up. That's why it has all these pieces of cloth around it to hold it together. And it's been stapled and rewrapped. It's just a particle board, really. But it's really, really neat because through use, it's become, super cool. Let me go ahead and set the camera down and set up the tripod. Try and screw with this here for a second. There we go. Alright. Now, the cool thing about it is that we've got this little finger notch here. Now, you can use that in a bunch of different ways. I'll get into that in a different video. But once you close it, that notch there sits in this notch here. That way I can pinch the sword shut and keep it shut. Nothing goes awry or, slips out. It's really, really easy to draw. It's, a little bit of play, but I like that. And I've got some green cloth around here, some camouflage webbing, green cloth from an old shirt. And this right here is for tying it to my belt or throwing it over my shoulder or anything cool like that. And I love this little weapon because it's been through me, it has cut me several times, but it's been through a lot with me. It's taught me a lot. And it's very, very utilitarian. No matter how badly I screw it up, no matter how badly I screw up how it looks, it's still a very, very functional weapon. And it's very, very heavy in terms of, it's heavy duty. And, let's put it this way. You know how I determine if this weapon is sharp or not? Hang on. You're walking with me. We're going to take a good look at my sharpening apparatus, which is this neat little block right here. It has 4 different grits on it. I just flip it over, spray a little WD-40 on it, and get to work. And then check this out. And as you can see, my hand is not on it, and I only tapped it. And before you ask, this weapon does have a name. It goes by the name of Dragonfly Needle. If I can find some way to say that in Japanese or whatever, I can follow with the tradition of actually naming your weapon, because, I've heard from a million different sources that not having a named weapon is bad luck. Very bad luck. And, sometimes you need a little luck. But, that's my weapon. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Later.